This is Killer Innovations, a show about ideas, creativity, and how you can innovate. Welcome to the Innovator's Garage, where you learn to create your next game-changing killer innovation.
Hello, I'm Phil McKinney, and welcome to the Innovator's Garage, where we're all about helping you go from idea to launching your killer breakthrough innovation. This week, I brought in a special guest, Kim McNichols. Kim and I have known each other. In fact, we were sitting here before we came on air talking about how long ago it's been since we connected. Kim, at that time, was a reporter with Forbes.
Forbes magazine, yes.
Forbes magazine at the time, and I was the CTO at HP, which then, as you could have guessed, becomes a target for every reporter out there wanting to talk to see if I would leak or reveal any new product technologies. But Kim was one of those reporters that was just absolutely, a joy to work with from the standpoint of meeting with and sharing information and that. And then over the years, Kim has gone off to do other things. We'll talk about that here in a bit. I've gone off to do other things, and now we've stayed good friends. Kim has a radio show now in San Francisco. I've got this radio show, so we've got that in common. But the real question is, well, first of all, let me give people a little bit of background, right? So Kim was at Forbes, working on Forbes Video. You went on to Pando.
Right,
you
and I
Pando.
had a series at Forbes magazine, and it was called Personal Best, and it was how executives live extraordinary and rewarding lives outside the boardroom. And that's how I came across Phil, because Phil has a very special, award achievement that you had.
Yeah, so Kim
you
wanted
have to tell everyone.
Okay, I got to tell the story now. So Kim wanted to do an executive profile of me at HP, and I just don't like those things. I think they're a little fake and made up. But Kim took a unique twist on it, which was not about your work, but about what you're passionate outside of work. Mm-hmm. And so somebody said, okay, are you serious? She goes, yeah, I'm serious. I said, okay, show up at this address on Wednesday night. And Kim's
Where am I going?
Where am I going? Just show up. And what it was I had Kim and the film crew from Forbes Video come down and actually do the interview and tape.
And he wasn't in a business suit. He was in a Boy Scout uniform.
Yeah, I had Kim and the team come do the interview at a my Boy Scout troop meeting, where I was assistant scoutmaster. So I'm an Eagle Scout. And
my favorite story is how you got out of a ticket because you were an Eagle Scout, and you strategically placed your Eagle Scout card right behind your driver's license, so it just happened to pop out a little bit so the officer could see it.
Yep, and it turned out that police officer was also an Eagle Scout, and I was able to dodge the ticket. And it actually works quite well. So I have what's called a. And actually, after that video shot, I had more Eagle Scouts contact me about what this card was, because it's a gold card. Actually, I took a picture and posted it because people didn't believe this card existed. But it's a gold card that has recognizes you as an Eagle Scout. It's plastic like a credit card, and I always keep it behind my driver's license. And it's helped me more than a few times getting out of tickets.
Very smart.
It's almost it's a little Eagle Scout strategy. I would never tell my troop kids that. It's never okay to speed kids,
No.
But that's how. So Kim and I met. Kim did this video shoot. You can actually go out and find it. You just look for HP space Eagle Scout, and it comes up, because that's the title of it. It was HP's Eagle Scout, and it was that was the profile for me at Forbes, so you can find it there.
And one of my other we went well beyond there, and we went to the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas, and this was one of my favorite stories. I think the first year we followed you around, and I think the next year we came back, you said, well, it's not me. I have a secret spy that's going to go around to all of the different areas and see what technology they have, because they all know you.
You're just giving away all my secret. I don't know. Golly, gee,
I'm not going to be invited back.
Having you on the show is dangerous.
But here's the thing. I think this is such a good lesson in what I love about you. And I use you as every single time I talk to entrepreneurs, because so many entrepreneurs sit inside their little rooms, their garages, their boardrooms, and they're just in front of their computer. And that's not where they're going to get the best ideas to innovate. They need to be where the customers are. And what I love about you is that you spend most of your time where your customers are. And even today at Cable Labs, you're where your customers are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's one of the things I'm very passionate about. All my years at HP, most weekends you would have found me standing in a Best Buy store watching customers buy product. I got accused of being a stalker more than a few times, or customers
People
thinking,
knew what you look like.
Yeah. But back to the CES show. Yeah, everybody used to always wonder, because I used to do this series. And in fact, I'm thinking about doing one again this year for CES, where prior to the show, I kind of make my predictions of what are going to be the upcoming hot technologies. And everybody used to, and then at CES, I would go around, and this is when I used to write the objective column at Forbes, talking about kind of things, things that I thought were interesting. People always go, how do you get around the show? I was there, I was doing TV interviews, I was doing press interviews, and then I revealed to Kim, I let Kim know my little deep dark secret, whereby my son, who's now 27, works for the Walt Disney Company in LA. When he was in college, or even when he was in high school, I would always bring him to the Consumer Electronics Show, and he would basically scour the entire show floor while I'm off doing press interviews and doing all my obligations for HP. And then we started with Forbes, where Forbes would follow me around on the show floor to 4 or 5 companies. In the first year, Forbes had no clue how did I pick these companies out. And then it was the second year whereby all of a sudden they figured out the secret formula here, which was my son Logan. And then you wanted to stop and you wanted to get opinions on a mobile phone handset manufacturer.
Right.
And at that time, we had just acquired Palm. And I'm like, I can't do that. That would Palm reported to me, then for me to go stand in a competitor's handset and criticize. I said, however, take my son. So Forbes actually films my son giving the entire critique. And actually, he gave it a pretty good job. He did a great job. But you know something? He has never watched that video.
What? Why?
He is so nervous about seeing him. All of his friends have seen it. It's gone around Disney. He has never sat down and watched that video of him at the Consumer Electronics Show. So my guess is I know a few of his friends listen to this program. So now I'm going to guess he's going to get like major harassed at work. The fact that he hasn't watched it.
I hope he watches it, because I think he has a future in it, just like his dad in media.
So why Colorado? Why are you here in Colorado? Because you don't live here. You're from Silicon Valley, but you're here in Colorado.
Because I've been running what's called the Extreme Tech Challenge. It's a global startup competition, and it's a partnership between MaiTai Global, which is the brainchild of Bill Tai. He partnered with a woman by the name of Susie Mai, which created MaiTai, and she was a professional world-renowned kiteboarder. He loved kiteboarding. He became a pro kiteboarder along with being a venture capitalist. And along with trying to kiteboard around the world, he started a couple startup competitions through MaiTai Global so that they could do a little work and a little play at the same time. And one time they were over on Necker Island, which is Richard Branson's private island, the Virgin Brands. And Richard said, hey, wow, this is great. How can I get involved? How can we do maybe the finals of one of your startup competitions here on Necker Island? Then I wouldn't have to go anywhere. You bring the innovation to me. And it took a couple of years, but then Bill Tai, from Charles River Venture Partners now, moved on to more angel investing. He's taken 5 companies public as well. But he ended up doing some sort of keynote for the board of the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas. And he said, well, wait a minute. You guys are looking to continue to make CES relevant today. What if we did a global startup competition called the Extreme Tech Challenge, where the semifinals are held at CES. We have the top 10 present live on stage at CES, and the top 3 from there go on to present to Richard Branson and another set of judges on his private Necker Island. Last year was the inaugural year, and we had a couple thousand, applications. But of course, when Richard Branson puts it out that he's involved in a competition, you get a lot of ideas. So I would say out of the nearly 2,000 applications, I think that there were probably about 800 really high quality ones. And this year we had more than 1,000 applications, 1,071 applications. And I swear we had about 1,071 really strong, high quality applicants this year. I was really, really impressed. And I was even more impressed to see the high number of startups coming out of Colorado. And so of all the places in the world that I literally had to check out, I decided to fly to Colorado I had to see for myself what was happening here. Because Forbes had come out in February, they wrote an article about the 10 most innovative tech hubs in the United States, and it was a list that was created by NerdWallet, which is a personal finance site, and they looked at a number of patents per 1,000 residents and capital received per capita, and they found that number 1, of course, on the list is the most innovative tech hubs was San Jose. Number 2 was Boulder, Colorado.
Welcome to my new hometown.
So we can probably explain more.
Yeah, when we come back, we're going to take a quick commercial break here, but, you're finding another one of my secrets here as to why I ended up in Boulder, Colorado.
Anywhere Phil is, you want to go. You want to be.
So when we come back from the commercial break, we're going to continue our discussions really around the Extreme Tech Challenge, and also some of the companies that made it into the short list. So stay right where you're at. This is Phil McKinney. You're listening to Killer Innovations on the BizTalk Radio Network.
BizTalk Radio.
This is Killer Innovations, a show about ideas, creativity, and how you can innovate. Welcome to the Innovator's Garage, where you learn to create your next game-changing killer innovation.
Welcome back to Killer Innovations. I'm your host, Phil McKinney. We're going to pick up here in the second segment, continuing with Kim McNichols. Kim is leading the effort around the Extreme Tech Challenge, specifically around selecting those companies that ultimately get an opportunity to meet with Richard Branson from the Virgin brand and actually make their pitch on Necker Island, which I've always had the dream of going to Necker Island. I've watched, Tim Ferriss, talks about it all the time, and then I've seen your promotions, and I've seen, all the chatter about it. But let's get back to where we left off in the last segment, talking about Boulder, and you're surprised about how many of the companies came from Boulder. So tell me a little bit more.
And in an article I read from Forbes magazine, where NerdWallet, which is a personal finance site, did a study that showed that Boulder has the highest density of startups in any city on their list of the top 10 most innovative tech hubs in the United States. I mean, number 1 was San Jose. Number 2, Boulder, Colorado. One startup is started every 72 hours right here in Boulder, which I think is fairly phenomenal. And when I came recently to come visit Boulder, I met some really great companies. And so I thought, hey, you guys need to enter this competition. I'm really excited. I didn't have anything to do with the judging at that point. And what was interesting is that the judges, out of more than 1,000 applicants, those 4 startups ended up in the top 25 semifinalists. And there was another one that I didn't get to meet with. So we had 5 in the top 25, all from Boulder and Denver, Colorado. 5 out of 25 companies from around the world.
Well, and actually it was quite funny because when you were here in September, which happened to be my birthday, and you and I were having dinner. Yeah, it was great timing. And you and I were chatting, and you were telling me who you were meeting with in Boulder. And then I'm going, well, did you meet with so-and-so? No.
Yeah.
Did you meet with so-and-so? No. I'm like, Kim, you've only scratched the surface here. You got to.
And I was already impressed with the ones that I had met with because I went over to Techstars, and Techstars is one of the most amazing accelerators in the world, and it just keeps growing and growing and growing.
Well, now with with Boomtown, I'm advising at Boomtown. We have Unreasonable Institute, which is focused on social entrepreneurship, those that have social impact. But again, the startup community, you've got Silicon Flatirons tied with the CU Law School. I just spoke there last week. It is. It's a phenomenal environment, and it has a different feel than Silicon Valley when you come to Colorado.
The one thing I was really impressed with in coming here, I thought it was really special. Coming here, I emailed every single person, every venture capitalist I emailed, every expert, every innovator, every entrepreneur that I emailed and said, hey, I want to set up a meeting. Every single one of them, no matter how busy they are, how big they are, they all responded and took a meeting with me. And I came here and I was thinking, this is the coolest thing. They all think I'm some, big person coming in from Silicon Valley to meet with them. No, it's a thing here. You have to meet with everybody. And I love that. Right. I love that openness that this community still has. It's what Silicon Valley used to be.
Exactly. Because I was in my first round in the Valley was 1983 to 1988, my first cycle, and that's what the environment was back then. And I came back 2006 when I came back to the Silicon Valley the second time. It had changed. And even now when I go back, and I spend a week a month in Silicon Valley, it's completely different. Boulder here has this it's kind of an unwritten culture here in Colorado.
Right.
Where it's a give first kind of someone so if anybody asks you for help, an introduction, whatever, advice, you're there. Now, it drives my executive assistant crazy because probably a third of my calendar is meeting with companies that have no relation to Cable Labs, my current role. But odds are, though, a lot of those companies later on, after I've told them my story, they've shared their story, I've helped them out, I now have all these eyes and ears feeding me companies that do have an impact. So your network in Colorado grows so fast relative to any place else because all you have to do is just start meeting and everybody's giving back to everybody else. Your network just explodes here so quickly.
And as long as you do have that give first mentality, you're okay.
Yeah.
And what's interesting about Silicon Valley is that I feel like it's become more of a taker's society. I mean, anytime I have a big event, I'll get a bunch of emails last minute. Oh, can you get me in? Well, I haven't heard from you in 2 years. And oh, by the way, that email I sent you a year ago asking you for something, you never responded.
Right. Exactly.
And that just seems to be over and over again.
Yeah.
But to Silicon Valley's credit, it's been around for a long time, and there are a lot more people there.
Well, I think Silicon Valley is suffering from a little bit of what I would call an intensity crisis.
Yeah.
It has just become so intense. So many startups. A lot of money chasing fewer and fewer deals, but there's still a lot of startups happening. But you also got things like cost of living crunch, so it's getting more and more expensive for startups to even have a chance for success in Silicon Valley. So everybody you just feel like you got to run so much faster there.
But what's, I think, even more impressive, I keep saying things are more and more impressive here. I am blown away by the culture here. I'm blown away by the talent. In terms of the Extreme Tech Challenge, it's different than any other competition out there because we're not just looking for a great idea. You have to have proven product market fit, and you have to be poised and ready to scale. There had better be traction. And not only that, you may have traction, but you had better have an outstanding team, a proven team. And every single one of the startups that I met with here had an amazing team, proven product market fit, ready to scale. And I think that a lot of it is that culture of giving first. They get a lot of help, and I think a lot of mentorship, especially with Techstars being here, and also the Foundry Group.
Yeah, you got Foundry Group, you got Techstars.
And Phil McKinney.
And, you got Toby at Boomtown, who we did an interview with Boomtown and two of their startups. And then we did Unreasonable Institute and two of their startups, and I'm going to be doing more of them. But also, this show is not just about Colorado, but I think it's interesting, you coming from Silicon Valley, when you and I got together in September, and you were like so amazed and so excited about Colorado. I'm like, oh shoot, my secret's going to get out here again, right?
I have such a big mouth, as you've noticed over the course of this show so far.
But and I think there's we've had guests on the past from Israel talking about the Israeli startups. So on a per capita basis, Israel is the largest in the world as far as startups on a per capita basis.
Oh, wow.
And they're number 2 in total patents behind the United States.
That's amazing.
And that's not even per capita. That's just total patents. So you got these hot spots. And the hard part is, as an innovator, is keeping your pulse on all of them to see where the next opportunity is going to come from. What are those new startups that are going to break new ground and do totally new, interesting, and transformative things? Who's going to be the next Uber? Who's going to be the next Airbnb? Who's going to be the next, Apple? Who's going to be the next Amazon?
Who's going to be that next disruptor from below?
Right. So we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to jump in. Specifically, I want to talk about, one, the criteria for the Extreme Tech Challenge, because that's what you're doing, is filtering out all these really exciting ones. And then we're going to talk a little bit about some of the more interesting ones on the short list, ones that I at least find interesting. And then you can share what you think are interesting, and we can have that conversation. So stay right there where you're at. We're going to pick up with Kim McNichols when we come back from this commercial break. If you want to stay connected with Killer Innovations, text the word INNOVATE to 33444 or visit killerinnovations.com/innovate. You can subscribe to the newsletters. We'll keep you updated on all the guests and all the activities we have going on here. I'm Phil McKinney. You're listening to Killer Innovations on the BizTalk Radio Network.
BizTalk Radio.
This is Killer Innovations, a show about ideas, creativity, and how you can innovate. Welcome to the Innovator's Garage, where you learn to create your next game-changing killer innovation.
So welcome back to Killer Innovations. I'm your host, Phil McKinney. We're going to pick up right where we left off with Kim McNichol. So Kim, we were talking before, one, about your excitement about Colorado, but also about this whole filtering process where you're literally looking at 1,000+ ideas.
Right.
And ultimately, you got to boil it down to how many get to go to the island?
Well, 10 get to go to CES, and then the top 3 from there go on to
Top
Necker
3
Island.
from CS get to go to hang out with
Richard
Sir
Branson.
Richard and his buddies.
And it's a long process. I personally go through all 1,000 companies. I've been covering startups since 1998. And so from the boom to the bust to, the boom and, on and on. So I have a lot of experience in startups. I've seen pretty much everything at this point globally. But what I really tried to do, especially for the top 25, first and foremost, is make sure that every single major trend is represented, whether it's healthcare, wearables, IoT, robotics is a major one. Also, cannabis is absolutely huge. I mean,
Okay, well, cannabis definitely ties into the Colorado hook here.
right. Well, the U.S. economy doesn't spawn an entirely new industry very often, and legal pot may well be the best ground floor opportunity I think any innovator has at this point. It's huge. I mean, how often can an entrepreneur start from the ground level of something?
Well, I had that benefit in the early '80s in the PC industry.
See,
right?
a while ago, right?
Okay, yeah. But living in Colorado, I'm probably not the best one to judge the cannabis thing. I'm not a fan. I'm just, quite honestly, I think it's got other issues because of it still being illegal on a federal basis.
Right, but how can you argue with MassRoots, which is based right here in
I got
Denver?
it.
Isaac Dietrich, 500,000 users worldwide. And what I love about what really caught my eyes, not only their traction.
So
but
who is this again?
Isaac Dietrich, this is MassRoots.com, the world's largest social network for cannabis. People can go on there and find pot buddies.
Why do you need a social network for cannabis? Why not just
Because you do need a place to connect.
Do a Facebook page.
Well, I think that at 500,000 users on one Facebook page, I think that's all. And plus, they're able to make money with advertising and such, and they get to keep everything. And they're actually profitable. They were profitable almost from day one. And what I love is that I can't talk about it, but they do have technology that is going to be, building off of that. There's so many other opportunities that they can go, as Facebook has proved, to go above and beyond. Right. That is as well. And what I loved is that about this team in particular is that at one point when they were in the iTunes store, App Store. Right. In the App Store, Facebook noticed their traction and said, "Hey, we don't want anything to do with this." And they noticed a bunch of other cannabis apps, and so they nixed all cannabis apps. And so they were able to rally up the troops and get people to get Apple to change its mind.
To back off on its policy.
Which I think is huge. And so that's why I really like this team, and I think that they're going to succeed.
Well, and I don't interpret mine as any judgment on the whole. It's just not for me. It's not a technology that I'm or an industry segment that I get all interested in. But are they based here?
In Denver.
They're based in Denver. So what are the other companies? So you talked about that you were surprised by how many of those companies were based in Colorado. So that's one.
One of my favorites is Sphero. It's an app-controlled spherical robot, and their products are currently distributed in 70+ countries. My
son-in-law loves that one, though, by the way.
Right?
Oh, yeah. He loves it.
But so did Disney. And so here's this company that ended up in the inaugural class for Techstars Disney, and on pretty much day 3 of being in Los Angeles at Disney Techstars, they meet with the president of Disney, and the president of Disney says, "Hey, do you realize that your spherical robot looks an awful lot like our new droid in our upcoming Star Wars film? Do you think you can make a few adjustments?" And they did, and it became the toy robot. That became the droid, and they had, like $100 million in sales pretty much overnight. It just blew up for them. And they're still a startup because they could be gone overnight as well.
Yes. Well, but I think it also starts to lay the foundation work for just the whole robotic segment as a whole, which I am a big believer in. I think robots are clearly. So that's 2. What's the other ones in Colorado?
Kick Further, and this is a really fascinating company, and I didn't pick it out at first. Bill Ty did. I didn't quite understand the importance of this until he explained it to me. But it's a fascinating company that is the crowdfunding for inventory. On the Kick Further platform, growing businesses create offers in order to crowdfund their inventory purchase order for their existing market and for potential customers.
So crowdsourcing your inventory purchase.
Right. And they've already.
That is brilliant.
Isn't that brilliant? They've already paid back $280,000 to their backers with an average return of 3.2%. Who would not go on there and do that? That's even better than going on Kickstarter.
Well, that's a no-brainer, particularly with smarter companies just trying to deal with supply chain issues. It's just crazy.
So would you put them in your top 10?
Probably. I think that's one that people my one thing on innovation is everybody thinks about the product or thinks about the customer.
Yeah.
Nobody thinks about innovating what happens behind the scenes.
Right.
And this sounds like a really great innovation on the thing that actually makes you do what it is you do. And nobody ever focuses on innovating. It's a big open area that nobody thinks about.
No, and there are quite a few companies in here that they may not have the most traction in the world, but you're like, why did someone not think of this in the first place? Which is awesome. For example, HobbyDB, which is right here in Boulder, Colorado as well. It's a great example of how the internet can unlock value to communities of interest and make something sticky. What Wikipedia did for information, this company is doing for collectibles, or they're pretty much creating a marketplace for buyers and sellers of collectibles. And
hold on, that's what eBay started off as, right? eBay started off, they were, Pez dispensers. It was selling. It keep creating a market for Pez dispensers. Look where it did, right? Mm-hmm. But this is so collectibles database.
All just collectibles, and buying and selling is happening on there, and they have 3,000 users, and they're growing every day. They just launched the marketplace this summer, as an experiment, and they brought in a Hot Wheels dealer, and they increased sales by 42%.
Now, I am big into Hot Wheels. That's another little deep dark secret for me. So what's the other one?
And the other one is Revlar. It's a personal safety device, and it's a strong, kick-ass team from right here.
Yep.
Female team.
This is the little sensor on the clothes thing, right?
Right, and there are a lot of companies that are doing this. I saw a lot of companies that entered the Extreme Tech Challenge. Most of them were jewelry-based, but if you know women don't wear the same jewelry every day, and plus, if someone who's a potential attacker gets wind of this is the type of jewelry it is, then they're going to automatically, target that jewelry and rip it off. With this, you can hide it in your bra strap, you can put it on your keychain, you can have it on your bag, you can put it on your belt, and you just click it once and it summons help. It sends a note to all of your family, your friends on your location. Yeah,
this is one that I also have a little bit of a personal passion. There's a company that I'm advising that came out of Unreasonable Institute. Started by two women out of Egypt. Okay. And after the Arab Spring, the rise of attacks against women in Egypt just skyrocketed.
Yeah.
And so they wrote a little mobile app so that when you had to walk from, let's say, you were going to the store or you're coming home from work, you could hit a button and it would notify your entire network that you started walking, and your phone then would update them periodically. And if it didn't do the update, then everybody in your network knew that there was a problem.
But the problem is the first thing that the attackers are going to do, they're going to get rid of their phone. So this is something that they can hide.
And so therefore you lose the GPS piece, which was an important piece.
And there was another company, I can't remember the name, but they've gone above and beyond, but they didn't have the traction that Revlar did. And the team didn't seem as strong. These girls are really, really fireballs. Yeah. I was very impressed with the strength of this team. What they did in 13 weeks at Techstars, it takes companies at least a year to do what they've done.
Well, Techstars is pretty impressive. They raised the bar, and if you get in, that's great. Two, what the expectation Techstars puts on you, forces you to have to really drive to a level of success, which is helps the entrepreneur achieve something that they just never thought they could achieve.
And what I like is that they really encourage, they really focus on the teams because every single company pivots. And what I like about this team is that as soon as I mentioned to them there was another company that had an OnStar style of device, they said, we're open. If that's what everybody thinks is going to do, we will pivot. We will adapt that into our technology.
Yeah, and that's a good point. We actually had Mark Vericione on he's one of the co-founders of STEMLead, which is think of it as LinkedIn for students who are in the STEM program. But he also has another company that does a mobile OnStar on his phone. So this place, everybody sees the need. It's really going to be what's going to be that ultimate solution piece. So, hey, Kim, normally in the fourth segment, I go to the killer question. I'm going to bag that. I want you to stay right where you're at.
Okay.
We're going to continue the conversations with Kim McNichols when we come back from the commercial break. So don't go anywhere. You want to stay right there and listen in on what we're going to talk about in the fourth segment as we continue on Extreme Tech Challenge. I'm Phil McKinney. You're listening to Killer Innovations on the BizTalk Radio Network.
BizTalk Radio.
This is Killer Innovations, a show about ideas, creativity, and how you can innovate. Welcome to the Innovator's Garage, where you learn to create your next game-changing killer innovation.
Welcome back to Killer Innovations. I'm your host, Phil McKinney. We're continuing our discussions with Kim McNichols as regards to the Extreme Tech Challenge and the companies that ultimately will get reduced down to a total of 3 and get to meet with Sir Branson at his private island. So last segment we talked about the Colorado companies. So let's take a look at what do you think what's your favorite company that you've seen so far?
I shouldn't be choosing favorites, but I think that one that caught my attention, and it also caught Bill Tye's attention, and since it's probably, I think you guys can handle it, I'm going to describe it very bluntly. It's a P-powered interactive media advertising platform with urine-controlled games for men.
Okay.
Okay, so
remember we are on live radio, so we do have to follow FCC rules here.
There aren't any 4-letter words. There's 3. So basically, this is a brilliant company because in the Extreme Tech Challenge with more than 1,000 applicants, I would say at least 5% of them were advertising platforms. Everybody is trying to figure out how to reach people through advertising, and particularly the millennials. And this company, Captive Media, has managed to capture the toughest group to capture, millennial men. And the key is to not try and get them where you want them to be, get them where they are. And where can you get their full undivided attention? In the bathroom at a bar. And they have scientific proof that shows that men on average are standing there for 60 seconds. So they have screens above each urinal that has advertisers that create games. For example, let's say M&M's has a first-person shooter game, and they have sensors inside the urinal, and you can, attack the M&M's.
Oh,
I mean, how brilliant is that? So they have 10,000 places in the UK. It's a London-based company.
Of course.
That are using this. I mean, this is absolutely
UK company.
Brilliant.
This is, well...
How can they not make the top 10?
And you don't have kids. I've got grandkids. But I can also tell you with a boy, the way you teach boys to pee in the toilet is you throw Cheerios in the bottom of the toilet and you play sink 'em.
I had no idea.
Yeah, that's how you train boys to pee in toilets.
So it's bringing back
right,
them back to potty training days.
So basically, you know what it is the fathers are teaching their son to pee in the urinal, and the fathers are going, I wish I could do that. Now you've got a product that they can. That is okay.
Hands down.
They're
going to Necker, right?
Okay, yeah. I think they're definitely in contenders for the top 3. So let me show you what I, having looked through your list that you sent me about all the different companies, and I have no insight as to your selections, etc. But the one that I love, and I've actually seen it live. I saw it at Makers Faire this year, and that is Megabots.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know the background of the company or the team, but just having seen it, it's
Boston Dynamics, MIT, great background of engineers.
Well, as soon as you got Boston Dynamics, if you don't know who Boston Dynamics is, they basically are building these what look like four-legged robots that the military is
Yeah.
using. You see the videos on YouTube where the guys walk up and kick the side of it, like trying to knock it over, and it looks like it stumbles, but keeps right going. The military is using it for hauling heavy gear, I guess, over really rough terrains. And then you got MIT involved in it. Well, it sounds like a good team.
They want to create an entire entertainment company. They want to create an entire sports category with dueling robots. And they've already challenged Japan, which I guess Japan has the most technologically advanced, or they seem to think they have the most technologically advanced or largest robot that they have challenged to a duel. And that was all over the media. And they're going to be doing that on live television in 2016. I guess they're negotiating for an entire show that's going to follow this.
Well, here's a little deep, dark secret. One of the reasons why I'm so big on this. I don't know if you remember the movie called Real Steel.
Yes.
Came out with DreamWorks Live Action.
Mm-hmm.
So all of the handheld devices, the prototypes that were used in the movie, including all the controllers for the robots, was developed by my team.
You're kidding.
My innovation team at HP. In fact, Mark Solomon, who's now head of industrial design at Pebble, Pebble Watch. Mark worked for me. Mark's name is in the film credit for the development. So it was my industrial design team and my team at HP Labs that developed all the prototype for DreamWorks Live Action that was used in Real Steel. So, and needless to say,
Makes sense. That's your vote.
You get a bunch of engineers, inventors, and you give them you tell them to go play with robots.
Mm-hmm.
Like what's bad about that?
We'll have to get you over there. It's in a warehouse in West Oakland. They actually have the robot, and they'll let you sit in the pilot seat.
Yeah, I've seen the video. I've gone on where they showed the lift the lid.
It's not the same until you go there. You have to go there.
Yeah, well, I'm guessing you have. So quickly, maybe pick one more. What would be another company you think?
This is just one of those that there were quite a few of these that I just can't believe that no one thought of this before. It's Hooch, and it's a subscription-based cocktail service allowing users to get free drinks daily for a month, and they've launched this for the first time in New York. $9.99 a month, and you get free drinks every single night for a month.
It's Netflix for drinks.
Yes. And they get to keep the entire $9.99 because the bars want the leads.
So they don't even pay the bar for the drinks. They're just using it as the loss leader to get you in. Because my guess is then you get somebody else coming.
There's such a huge margin. It's 70 cents per drink that they're charging you $14 for.
Yeah, well, then it's also the fact that no one ever drinks alone.
Exactly.
Right, so you're going to bring somebody else with you, but then you're going to get more people paying the $9.99. So Netflix for drinks. Okay. I'm not so sure on that one. But hey, as we wrap up here, what's the best way if people want to keep up to date on what's going on at Extreme Tech Challenge? How can they find you?
Just go to extremetechchallenge.com, and you can also ping me through the site. And I'm really great at answering emails. Would love everybody's thought. We're also doing live interviews with all of them at edcast.com/10-minute insights. Check the schedule. We're going to be interviewing them, and I want your vote.
Great. Excellent. So with that, I'm also going to put that on the show notes. So check out killerinnovations.com for the show notes for this show. We'll have all the links so you can check up on Kim and the Extreme Tech Challenge. And I can attest that Kim is great at follow-up and loves your input. So let's all give her our thoughts on the companies. Kim, thank you very much for coming. I really appreciate you stopping by here in Colorado.
Thank you. I'm hoping to move here.
And with that, we're going to wrap up today's show. I want to thank Brandon for engineering the show and really thank him for keeping me on track. I'm Phil McKinney, and you're listening to Killer Innovations on the BizTalk Radio Network. And remember, don't let the anti-innovators get you down. Keep on doing it. Get your ideas out there. Bye-bye.
The opinions you hear on Biz Talk Radio are those of the hosts, callers, and guests, and do not necessarily reflect those of this station, Biz Talk Radio, its management, or advertisers. The information on Biz Talk Radio does not constitute a recommendation, offer, or solicitation to buy or sell any product or service. If you have any questions about Biz Talk Radio, contact us at 817-274-1609 or at biztalkradio.com. Biz Talk Radio.